James Rivera, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. You?
I'm good too. Welcome to 69 Faces of Rock. Tell me about this new project, Metal Wave. Where did this idea come from?
So, y- you know, I live here in Houston, and I used to have this international. Well, I still do have it. It's been dormant for a little bit, but it's going to come back to life. And many years ago, as you know, I'm one of the men that likes to stay very busy in this business. So I started a tribute band. It was called Sabbath Judas Sabbath, and it ended up being a international act. Um, it became to where I ended up with seven different bands altogether. Four in, actually more than seven because I had four in Europe, and then I had at least six here in the States. And it was a unique show. It obviously was a tribute to Black Sabbath and Judas Priest in one, and mainly the Dio years. And I did that, and it got so big that I enjoyed it. But then somehow or another, especially here in my hometown in Houston, tribute bands just became like lice on a kid's head at school. And there's a million of them, mainly to metal bands in particular. So when the pandemic hit, I was bored. Me and Larry were always talking to each other on the phone and, coming up with crazy ideas. And then I said, you know what, dude? I started to think, what is my other passion in music? I said, I know a lot of people in the metal world don't know it, but James Rivera is a big new wave, dark wave goth fan, especially like the old Depeche Mode and Sisters of Mercy, The Cure, all that stuff. And I said, what if we were to take that stuff and do it metal? No one's really ever done that. And Larry goes, dude, you might be onto something. Well, he got busy right away. And the first piece that he did was Black Celebration by Depeche Mode. And what we did is instead of just, we didn't even have a full band yet. We just started recording the stuff because he did all the drums and the bass and all that. I would just go to his house and record the vocals. And we ended up with four songs completely done. And then we just didn't think nothing much of it. But then Massacre found out, what is this metal wave thing you're doing? And I explained it to Thomas, and he gave me a little short story of a band, Atrocity, that did it in the 90s, and it was called 80s Works. But they did it more in an industrial Nine Inch Nails kind of sounding way. But, no one's ever really done it kind of power metal way and doomy. And so he told me to send it to him, and I did. He fell in love with it and said, I think this would really do something. And it's worth signing. And I said, you kidding me? So we recruited a band, and then we found all the members that we needed. And then we started continuing picking songs little by little. But what we would do is we would record them first, and then we'd start rehearsing. And then we finally had just about the whole record written. We started rehearsing, and then we were doing shows, and the rest is history. So that's how it started.
Funny you say that because, back in the 80s, that was my biggest dilemma. I was always questioning myself, am I more metal or more new wave? It was difficult to agree both, but
Well, and if you said it to the wrong person, you get beat up. Like you're especially in Chicago. I mean, come on, the guys that wear the denim jackets with the denim patch on the back. Yeah, dude. But hey, man, guess what? What? I found out this little motherfucker listens to Depeche Mode. What?
nowadays people are a little bit more relaxed. I mean, you'd be surprised how many people come out of their own little
Mhm.
closets and like stuff that normally they would have been crucified for years ago.
And you know what I think it is? It's the fact that we're all just realizing that anything from the 80s was better than a lot of stuff today. So, I mean, I'll listen to Boy George. I don't care, or I'll listen to Michael Jackson now or whatever. But I think that's has a lot to do with it. And I'm glad that you're like me. We're like a chameleon. We both like the same kind of music.
I remember seeing the Depeche Mode at the Aragon Ballroom, which is like a kind of a mid-sized venue back in 1985, which was the last time they ever played a venue this small.
Yeah. They must have been touring on what was that with the album People Are People? Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Um, so what are the initial reactions you're getting out of this?
It's mixed. Um, as far as when we do the live shows, we're getting like a lot of great reactions. I mean, people are, it's kind of a win-win situation. Like for you, example, you loved 80s new wave just as equally as you loved metal, and you're from the 80s. So if you loved new wave and you loved heavy metal, you can't help but love metal wave. And that's what's happening, you know. There's been a few closed-minded people that are sort of, I don't know about this, you know, but and I knew that was going to happen. But to me, I was still very proud of what we did. And we even got a reaction from the Psychedelic Furs themselves, said this is brilliant. You know, so I mean, yeah, they heard our version of Love My Way. You know, so it's yeah, it's mixed, and you know, not everybody's gonna love it, but I think for the most part, I'd say 90% of my fan base is really loving it and going, wow, this is cool, this is different, you know, this is very original and unique.
Yes. So let's talk about the songs. I'm gonna throw the songs at you, and you tell me what that song meant to you, growing up and now being able to sing it. So let's begin with the Black Celebration, which a song by Depeche Mode came out in what 86, 87, I believe, right?
That was the album that really catapulted them to start. Well, me and Larry went to this show, Black Celebration, and it's a funny story. So he called me up one Saturday morning, and he said, "Dude, I got 2 tickets to Astroworld." I know we're talking 1986, somewhere around there, right? And I said, "Oh, okay." And he goes, "You know, they have those free concerts, and you know, we can go get on the rides, fuck with all the little nerds, and wear our Venom vests." So you see, yeah, we were being close-minded, you know, fuck with all the little nerds. And he goes, "I tell you what, I got the tickets. You get the acid." I said, "Okay, $5 a hit." I'm like, $10. Okay, so I had that, and so I went and got that. He came pick me up. We went to Astroworld, and we're getting on all these rides, and we're messing with all these still straight people. Dude, look at that guy's head. It just flew off. You know, yeah. You know, we're just messing with all the little nerds in the lines as we're getting on the rides. Astroworld was like Six Flags. But then the concert was that night. And I said, "Well, dude, who's playing tonight?" He goes, "Oh, you know, one of them new wave bands, Depeche something, People Are People, should it be?" And I said, "Oh, Depeche Mode. Cool. Let's go check it out." Well, they were touring on Black Celebration. So we get into the concert, and the next thing you know, now the acid's hitting really hard. And then we start looking around and we're going, wow, these people look more dead than we do because everybody's in black. They're pale. They're walking around like zombies. And so now we're kind of going, I don't know, dude. And so they opened up with Black Celebration and the whole uh, uh, kabuki drop and the silhouettes behind the stage and the fog. And it, immediately we just had to run to the front and start going. Yeah. It was like a King Diamond show. And Dave Gahan looked at us like, "What are these two knuckleheads doing?" Yeah, yeah, you know. But that's the reason why it's one of my favorite songs of all time. It introduced me to that world.
You mentioned the second song already a little bit, "Love My Way" by Psychedelic Furs, another really great song. How did that
Yeah.
one come about?
Well, exactly because it was such a great song, and so that Depeche Mode concert set the pace for me for just about all the rest of the songs. To be honest, it was kind of like, well, now I'm going to listen to these guys. So it's like if you, and then I met some friends that weren't metal, but they were like hardcore new wave. So there was a hardcore underground new wave dark wave scene too, and they didn't like Iron Maiden and stuff like that. But they're like, "Dude, Sisters of Mercy. Now you talk about Depeche Mode. Let me turn you on to that, you know." And then, oh man, there's just like the first. Oh, what about the Cure, man? Come on, you know. So I started hanging out with two different crowds of people, and that crowd would say, "This is what we want to listen to, and those were the concerts I was sneaking to without my metal friends finding out. Psychedelic Furs was one. So yeah.
Well, conspiracy. I think I could relate to that.
Yeah.
Love song. Speaking of The Cure, right?
Well, I think that by the time I started getting educated more and more with the new wave stuff, I mean, the Cure just really, they just blew me out of the water, especially with the album Disintegration. I was like, whoa. It's like every song on that album is amazing. And the love song was such a big hit. It had to be done. It just had to be done by us. You know, that's the way I saw it.
Peter Gabriel, Shock the Monkey. Again, I share a birthday with Peter Gabriel, day and month.
Oh, you know, that was more Larry's idea. He actually just said, dude, he didn't even tell me. He just composed it, recorded it, and he goes, what do you think about this one? And then I was like, oh my God, Shock the Monkey. How could I, yeah. So really it was Larry's idea to come up with that one. And it was a killer choice. Although Peter Gabriel wasn't really classified as new wave or dark wave or anything, but it was in the same time period. And I think it's one of the heaviest songs on the record, you know, and the way he composed it and everything.
We've mentioned Sisters of Mercy a few times already. Black Planet.
Yeah, and it's another one that Larry took the bull by the horns, because we got to do a Sisters of Mercy one. So Larry's very, how can I say it? He's one of those guys that does a lot of research on things. He's very computer literate, all that stuff. So Sisters of Mercy, he's like, I remember a few songs. Then he found that one. He goes, this one fit us. And then he just started composing that one. And it sort of reminds me of like what Metallica would have done with it, sort of in a way. So we did that. And then the subject and everything was really amazing. And I was like, because I used to have the best of Sisters of Mercy, and Black Planet was on there. And that was one of my favorite songs. And it's almost like anything that has the title Black in it, it's going to be good.
Everybody Wants to Rule the World, Tears for Fears, which had two incredible singers.
Oh, yes, they were. When that single came out, now I'm very into new wave, equally as metal. Okay. When that single came out, I bought it and I listened to it over and over and over again for 3 months when I was getting ready to go to work. I worked at a law firm, and I would leave the arm off the turntable, so it would just play over and over again. And so it had to be in there. That was the other reason.
Absolutely amazing song. Then we get really dark. Bauhaus, Bela Lugosi is dead.
Oh, come on. The godfather of gods and vampires. It had to be done by us. You know, come on. What other song could we? It was, well, we have other Peter Murphy songs we have for the future. But the Bauhaus one had to be done. Bela Lugosi's dead. And there was a toss up of should that be the opening song of Black Celebration? But Black Celebration has a nice intro, you know, and because I remember seeing the Depeche Mode concert when we do the Metal Wave shows, which we've done quite a bit of them, we open up with the Black Celebration, and we have the Kabuki drop just like they did. I'm copying everything. So
awesome. The only other song I could think of with Peter Murphy would be "Cut You Up," which is another great rhythm song.
That's next on the list. So yeah, so we think a lot.
Next, one of my absolute favorites, a band from Liverpool, Echo and the Bunnymen, "The Killing Moon," which they claim is probably the best song ever written.
And it is. And that's my other guitar player, Maurice, came up with that idea, The Killing Moon. And oh my God. So I was like, yes, Echo and the Bunnymen, got to do that. So it was because it was one of their best songs ever written. And I love the cover of the single. It's very dark, very mysterious, you know, but the song is really all about stuff. So when Maurice got, you know, he presented that to us. That was one of the first songs that he brought to the band, and I was blown away. That was me and Larry, like, whoa, yeah, this is it. You know, this is another one.
I would love to hear Mac the Mouth's opinion on this one.
Yeah, exactly. I think he'd like it because we kept it very similar, but just it's just doomy. It's a little doomy. That's all it is.
Pet Cemetery by Ramones.
They were not even new wave. It's just because of the title, and it's one of my favorite songs of all time, and it fits with us. When we play it live, it's almost the highlight of the evening. People just go crazy, and the whole crowd is singing. So that was one of those ones that it was borderline new wave punk, but I think by then, because they were so produced, it was still welcomed by the new wave crowd, and that's why we said, nah, I think it's fine, let's do that one, let's go ahead and do
And what a closer. Rain by The Cold. Wow. One of those songs that makes the time stand still.
it. Exactly, and the reason they were another band that were on the border. They weren't necessarily new wave, and they weren't necessarily full on metal. But if you went to any of the new wave dance clubs back in the 80s, that song was always the highlight, and it brought everybody to the floor. You know what I'm saying? So it got its stripes because of what I used to remember. And you can go to any club, and the minute that song came on, there was nobody in the at the club, at the bar. Everybody was on the dance floor. Yeah, doing the vampire dance. Yeah.
Now, you told me you played a bunch of shows locally. Any chance of you taking this thing on the road and doing something more with it?
There's people already interested in Europe, so I could say that much. And I knew that was going to happen. Especially there's one metal organization that just had Helstar in Bochum, Germany, and it's ironic that the promoter and his girlfriend are big dark wave fans. So the new the metal wave thing to them is just it's gold. They're just, oh my god, we can't wait for this record, and we'll find something for you guys here, and it'll be amazing. Because I love this band called Onto Others, and I think Metal Wave and Unto Others would make a great package. And the Unto Others guys, they love the Metal Wave thing, and they sort of do the same thing. They sort of take songs, they have their own originals, but yeah, I mean, it's just going to take a little time. I think when the whole record comes out, we already released 3 videos, and I mean, that's a lot. So that means that Thomas was right, that they believe in this project, and the lady's in charge of PR. Well, guess what her passion was before she became a metalhead? Dark Way of God. So you see, I got a lot of people on my side at the label going, "This, yeah, we love this." And when you have that, you're going to get a lot more results. As far as promotion.
So in many ways, we may anticipate a follow-up for this record down the line.
Oh yeah, there'll be 2 more actually. It was a 3-record deal. That's how much they believed in. Yeah.
List of songs you potentially will be attacking?
Yes. As a matter of fact, we already do it live, and unfortunately, it didn't make it on the record because it was done after. And it's the Morrissey song, and This Is Now. So then we got that. Red Skies at Night by The Fix is being worked on right now. Yeah. And London After Midnight song is being worked on. David Bowie song's being worked on right now. I don't want to give the titles just yet, but yeah, so we have all that stuff in the works.
You should definitely consider Tower of Strength by The Mission.
Oh yeah. Oh, The Mission is on our list as well. Sushi and the Banshees, we're gonna do one by them for sure. Yeah. And so it's just so many songs we can pick from. But what Larry is adamant about is that he has to approve it because, first of all, if the song's already in harmonic key, we can do anything we want with it. But if it's not, and it's in a happy major, then it's hard to take it. So, this is going to blow you away. Duran Duran. Save a Prayer. That's the only one that, and that's going to be like a very Sabbath sounding song, Yeah. So you see, we've got all, and actually, believe it or not, Larry goes, it'll work. And I've always loved that song. I said, seriously? Flock of Seagulls, I ran. So yeah, we got tons and tons of stuff that we could take, but they got to fit the realm so that we can make them. I guess the new term is dark metal, just dark new wave metal. That's maybe a new term for this.
Even things like Kajagoogoo, you listen to that song Too Shy and that bass in there, that is
Yeah,
instrumentally what they were doing back then.
yeah. And there's some songs you could never, you know. There was a couple of big country songs that we found that were like, that might work, but we'll see. Because like Larry said, if it's already written in a major, it's you can change it to a minor, but it changes the whole. See, and what we're trying to do, if you notice on the record, it kept the vocal melodies as close as possible. What's going on underneath is different, but I tried to keep the vocal melodies the same so that the new wavers would love it still. Well, he didn't ruin the vocals. He didn't. He might have added some range to it, but he didn't change the pattern so they can still sing along too. And that was our point when we started doing this.
See, now you got me thinking about Big Country, which another band I love, and I think probably the
The
best
fear,
Look Away.
yeah, look away, look away. Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, that's so you see what I'm saying. That one I could hear like an Iron Maiden type of, with that Nico McBrain. Look away, look away, let it go. Look away, look away, run to the hills. Yeah, there are plenty more Peter Murphy stuff we're gonna do. Yeah, I mean that's just gonna be amazing. But but yeah, I mean it's just we want each song that we take though we do want to take our time with it and not do it just because we want to put all that love into it and make it as fabulous as you can metal without ruining it and still have the new wavers go, wow. We've been having people come into our shows that weren't into metal, and so my plan is working. And it's like I met this couple one time, and they go like, we really never cared for metal, but we loved all these bands, and we heard about this crazy band doing these metal. We had to come to the show and see what it was all about, and God, we love it. And then they turned it on to all their friends. So CD release show is going to be, I think it's going to be pretty big for us here in Houston.
Another band for you that you definitely need to look into is Alphaville.
Oh, okay. Well, there's plenty of other bands I'm starting to figure out that I didn't know about that I'm starting to learn about because I listened to one of my. If you ask me about new bands that I'm into, and it's not necessarily metal, like I already mentioned, onto others. But there's a band called Soft Kill that I'm very into, and there's when you go to Spotify, you can have this thing called Soft Kill Radio, and I listen to that, and there's tons of. I didn't know that this scene was still. It's very huge, but with a different audience.
Yeah, no, it's massive.
Yeah.
Finally, what are your other plans for the next couple of months, possibly a year? Because you have a lot of things going on, not just this project, but there's Helstar. There's
we're writing the Helstar.
what else?
As a matter of fact, yeah, I was recording vocals Wednesday, and we've been working on that for a while, but the recording session has begun, and there's a couple of songs in the can, and I want to give away titles. We have an idea for the title of the record. It's still up in the air. We're kind of tossing it around. But the title that I think we're going to go for is going to be very powerful. And I think it's just this album is going to be, it's not going to be vampire concepted, so to speak. Like I've told the band, we don't have to write about vampires all the time. I'll do that because Larry writes lyrics and so does Andrew. and whatever you feel about writing. But Andrew, for some weird reason, he is being um, still writing about something to do with monsters. Like he's got a song about a werewolf now, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. So, but yeah, the recording process has started. There's already 4 songs musically already recorded, and those are the ones that I'm going to start tackling vocally. Our plan is to have it completely done by the end of August and turned into the label.
Mhm.
Then it will be mixed and mastered, and we're looking for a spring release 2024 with a
Good.
South American tour
So-
to follow up.
Well, thank you, James, for speaking to me, and good luck with all those projects. You have some really hot happening right now. I hope I'll get to see this live.
I'm glad you like it. Yeah. Hook me up with a promoter in Chicago that's kind of goth and metal, and I'm sure this would take off like a rocket in Chicago for sure.
No doubt.
You take care of yourself. You too, buddy. Bye bye.